It's no secret that life is getting more expensive. Inflation has hit everybody, and now more than ever, people are looking to stretch that dollar. But what about in Katy, Texas? Does living here offer the affordability that people are looking for? Or have rising housing costs, utilities, and education made it really hard to keep up? Hi, I'm Carolyn Bauerschlag, a local real estate agent helping people just like you relocate from all over our great country right here to West Houston. Today, we're going to cover the cost of living in Katy, Texas, and whether or not it makes sense for you to move here. We'll also cover what makes Katy appealing and why families, and especially retirees, love to move here. If you're new to my channel, make sure to click the link below and subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so you never miss another episode. Katy is one of the most popular destinations in the West Houston area, known for its great schools, its ease of access to the energy corridor, and its beautiful master plan communities. Residents will tell you that they love Katy for the small town feel, but actually only being 25 miles from the fourth largest city in the nation. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Katy, Texas is growing rapidly and estimates that our population is somewhere around 400,000 people. All of that growth does put quite a bit of demand on the housing prices, so let's chat about that for just a moment. In 2024, the median price of a home in Katy, Texas was $395,000. Compare that to the national median of $417,000, and living in Katy looks like it might be about 5% less expensive. Sounds good, right? It is until you look a little bit more closely. If you're to consider traditional wisdom that you shouldn't really buy a house that exceeds 3 times your annual income, you need to have an income of $130,000 in order to comfortably live in a home in Katy. And it's especially important to be mindful of housing costs that aren't just related to price. Insurance costs are on the rise in Katy, Texas, and this is unfortunately due to a lot of the weather systems that have come through. Not necessarily just hurricanes, but freak freezes or the weird windstorms or things that have just caused a lot of insurable damage over time. So when I have a buyer consultation with people, I say make sure to expect about $3,000 on a homeowner's insurance premium. The other thing to be mindful of is that property taxes are significant. Now, property taxes in the Katy area should be somewhere around 2.5%. It might range from 1.9 to 3.6, but when you consider that the national average for property taxes is about 1%, we're 2.5 times that national average. If you put numbers to that, a 2.5% tax rate on the median price home is going to get you a tax bill of somewhere around $10,000. That's a lot of extra cash to have that you need to be prepared for. Now let's chat about utilities. Utilities on average are going to run you somewhere between $300 and $350 a month. Now, this is broken out into your electricity, your gas, your water, sewer, trash, right? But the vast majority of this is going to be due to your electric bill. Now, we run our ACs in Houston probably about 10 months of the year. So expect your electric bill to be somewhere between $200 to $250. Gas is relatively inexpensive here because we just don't get cold. So it's going to be whatever you're going to use for heat in those 2 months that we're not using the AC, or for whatever you use on your fireplace or on your stovetop. Water, sewer, trash, that usually comes as one bill. And I would say a midpoint of like $50 for a house without a pool is about right. And if you use a lot of water, that could edge up to as much as $150 a month. Internet will run you on the low end about $70 a month and could get up to $100 based on your personal preferences. But the good news is that groceries here in Houston are less expensive than the national average. We're about 2% lower than what you could expect in other cities, so we're doing a little bit better there. And if you've watched our videos before, you know that the only place to shop for your groceries for everyday low prices and the highest quality is H-E-B, my personal favorite grocery store. Now let's talk about transportation. The good news is that if you live in Houston, you live in the energy capital of the world, and we are close to all of those big refineries and storage tanks of oil. So our gas prices in general tend to be less expensive than the national average. Right now in September of 25, we are dealing in gas prices that are about $2.58 at the pump, and the national average is $3.20. So put differently, if you were to go fill up a 15-gallon tank, you would spend about $39 at the pump. Not bad, right? Now, one of the hidden downsides to this is that, of course, Houston is huge. So you are probably going to be at that pump more frequently to fill up that gas tank. So if you're commuting quite a bit, that is something to be mindful of. And in the spirit of reducing the congestion of the traffic and the length of everyone's commute, if you live in the Katy area, there is a Metro Express shuttle that picks up at the Grand Parkway and I-10 and will take you into downtown. So that is one sort of major commuter option that we have. But it is going to take you about an hour to an hour and a half still to make that commute. Obviously, not everyone can utilize that shuttle to go specifically from Katy into the downtown area, and a lot of people end up using the toll roads. Now, if you live in Katy and you need to bypass traffic and you need to get to downtown, you do have an option to use the tolls, but that toll and peak commuting time is going to cost you $7 each way. So I don't know a lot of people that can just rack up $14 a day every day for the rest of their lives to get where they need to go, but that is something to be careful of. If you live in Katy and you're going out the West Park toll, so kind of on the south edge of Katy towards downtown, that commute's going to cost you somewhere around $4.50 each way every day. So a little less expensive, but still significant. If you're commuting on the Grand Parkway, it is free in between the West Park toll and I-10, but you will experience tolls outside of that. So regrettably, there are a lot of tolls kind of in and around where we are. There are free options. It's just going to take you a little bit longer to get where you need to go. Another major factor in affordability for families is childcare. Now, childcare in Houston, Texas is about what the national average is. If you're looking to enroll a child into something that's more full-time, and this is maybe from infancy all the way through preschool, you can expect to pay somewhere between $1,250 to $1,350 a month, or roughly $15,000-ish a year. Now, that is hugely significant. So if you're in a position where you want to do something like a Mother's Day Out program where your child goes for a couple of hours twice a week, that might end up costing you maybe $300 a month. And if you need just after-school care for a child that is attending regular day school, you're going to expect to spend about the same, maybe $300 a month for after-school care. Now, I do want to point out that if you are dealing in that $1,250 to $1,350 a month option for full-time care, you can rest assured that there are great options that are kind of curriculum-based. So it's not going to be a situation where you just let your child into a classroom and it's a Lord of the Flies situation. It will be guided learning so that your child is getting all of the benefits of that early childhood education that you really would hope for. Now, if you're watching this video and you're thinking about education, then you know that Katy ISD has A-rated schools. And there's a very good chance that if you want to be in Katy, you're going to send your child to a public school. If you choose to do so, obviously your tax dollars, your property tax dollars are paying for that education. There are still people that will opt into a private school education experience. And those private school experiences, I would say, for a school-age child are going to be somewhere on the low end of like $13,500, $14,000 a year, up to anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000 a year. I would say most people that I know that reside in Katy have moved from somewhere else in Houston specifically to take advantage of the public school system so that they can circumvent that annual expense of private education. Another major factor in affordability in Katy, Texas is going to be your property taxes and your insurance. Now, we have other videos that cover this in great depth, but I want you guys to be aware of the fact that if you live in Katy, Texas, it is fair to assume that your property tax rate is going to be somewhere around 2.5%. Now, Katy's tax rates do have a wide range, maybe from 1.9 up to 3.6%. But in general, if you're looking at a median priced home, a $10,000, $12,000 tax bill is completely reasonable. I mentioned to you earlier that homeowners insurance is significant as well. $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year is not uncommon to pay on a home in Houston. Now, Houston really is very attractive to retirees, and Katy is especially because we find that a lot of grandparents want to be close to the families that live out in the Katy area. And in recognition of that, our local government and Texas state government do have exemptions in place for people who are seniors or perhaps more on a fixed income. So you will see homestead exemptions to alleviate the cost of the property taxes. There's a bill at the legislature that's expected to pass this year in 2025 to increase the homestead exemption by $40,000 to a total of $140,000. So that reduces your tax basis by that amount so that you're not paying as much. Now, if you're 65 and up, you also get the advantage of another exemption. And there are exemptions also for folks that have a disability or perhaps disabled vets. With respect to insurance, my sincere hope is that we start to see insurance premiums ease up. Within the last couple of years, we had Hurricane Beryl, we had the derecho, we had the ice storms, and I think insurers started to pull out of Texas, right? And so what that left was fewer carriers who were willing to kind of bear the risk of insurance here in the Houston area, and our premiums went up as a result. So my hope is that with time and perhaps with fewer weather-related events that are once in a lifetime, the insurance rates will return somewhere to normal. But this is something that I would say you need to have a contingency plan for it to continue to increase. With top-tier education, easy access to the energy corridor, and fabulous neighborhoods, it's easy to see why people choose Katy as their place to live. We are truly a destination for families and especially those with little ones. And while we're not as expensive as we used to be, Katy, Texas still offers great value when you consider that it is attached to the fourth largest city in the nation. If you'd like to discuss anything specific, or if you have a question specific to this local market, please feel free to drop a comment in the chat below or reach out to me with my contact information that's in the description. I'm a real live Katy native and I would love to be your realtor. If you're considering a move to the area, please feel free to reach out. And if you're new to this channel, make sure to click the link below and subscribe because we put content like this out every single week. See you soon.